Well, that's all I really had. I was hoping that some of the people who had requested other times would show up, but oh, hey Dave,
Can you hear
Oh,
me?
finally.
I can hear you. How are you doing,
Awesome.
Dave?
Good. How are you?
I'm all right. Let me get my slides back. Do you want to talk a little bit about how you got started in game programming? How did you discover that programming was a thing that exists?
I honestly don't remember because I was so young, but in junior high, I was always good at typing in typing class. So I took another class called programming, and it was really shitty or stupid, bad. I don't know what I can say on YouTube. It was some sort of basic or Pascal or some one of those really old languages that I never really liked. It was about printing to the screen and stuff. But when I was about 15, I did a little DirectX and C++ like demo. That's probably how I got started.
So do you do a lot of DirectX game programming these days? I haven't seen your channel before. I'm looking at it now.
I don't even have one. I'm totally antisocial, but yeah, I only do C++ right now, and I'm doing direct. I have a DirectX renderer, and I'm working on getting that into GL right now. So
Cool. So are you in college right now?
I'm old. I'm older than that. Yeah, past college.
Okay. Well, cool. So what are all of the languages that you've learned over the years?
Well, honestly, I haven't been hardcore, so I only know C and C++, really.
Mhm.
I can kind of read other languages, but that's been something I want to do, and that's what I like about your channel is that you focus on faster languages so that you can write games faster. And I'm starting to think about maybe Java or even something like Game Maker or Unity or something.
Yeah, sometimes I wish I had a higher level language to mess around with for games, because then I could just pump something out really fast without having to worry about writing an engine and all of that.
Right, right.
So, but
But no, I'm just working on an engine, and I don't really, just like our other friend here, I don't have a lot of projects to show, but I am sticking with my current one, and it's going to be like kind of like a breakout clone, but a lot better, I hope, with like a character and levels, and even eventually maybe like when you beat the breakout part, you might actually break out of that game into some sort of RPG. But this is all in the future, so yeah.
well, cool. So what kind of stuff do you eat and drink while you program? Like, are you addicted to coffee and caffeine and soda?
I really don't need that to stay awake. Uh, but I just eat too much of anything. I eat food.
I know, like, since my college days, I've gotten kind of like emotionally dependent on caffeine to like do much work. So I'm trying to break out of that.
Yeah, I really don't have. I have certain things that I have secrets, but I can't release them on the internet. So,
Secrets to being productive?
secret. It's hard to explain it. Like I program a lot at night. I live right now. I live in Vietnam. I'm American, so I mean, like sometimes my schedule is all weird and stuff like that. But I'm always awake at night, and so you know, I just kind of I guess I would eat or drink certain things, but anyway, a lot of my secret is confidential, so I can't really release it.
Okay. I'm trying to like clear my mind of dirty thoughts.
It's not dirty, I promise. It's not dirty.
Yeah, I
Um,
don't even want to picture what you're thinking about.
Yeah.
like I can't talk about it on the internet. The source of my creativity.
I'm just
Let's see.
thinking, illicit drugs.
Oh,
If you want to know, you can PM me, but this is my first hangout, so I shouldn't release everything the first time.
yes. You should wait until at least like the second or third date.
There we go.
So, is this breakout game the first game you've worked on? Have you done
Except
any like
for
little sample things,
little what?
like sample games or test programs and stuff like that?
Honestly, well, no, because I didn't really, for 10 years or so, I didn't program anything. I did go to college in that time and just played games quite a bit and stuff like that. But I was I was trying to do my real life thing or whatever. But now that I kind of got that out of the way, I plan on programming for ever. So that's what I do now. And it's taken me so long to. I'm not ashamed to say that I don't have a project finished because I'm trying to get a low level understanding first, and then
Hmm.
go higher level. I think you're more of an artist than me. I really enjoy your art style when I look at your games and stuff online, and my stuff isn't like that. I'm more of a programmer, and so a lot of the stuff that I do, you can't see. Like I spent more than a month just trying to figure out the internals of DirectX, and then I wrote an engine, and I can draw rectangles on the screen, move them around now. But it's not a game. So I hope in the future to when my engine gets more polished or whatever, when I get more experience, I hope to form some sort of a team so that I can have someone that's really an artist with me too. Yeah.
Yeah, I know from all the communities I hang out with, it's mostly just like programmers, and then like we had an artist in the Musader channel for like a few days, and then they went
Yeah.
away. It was like, oh, all we have
Well,
is
you don't need an
programmers.
artist though, because you're really good.
Yeah, but a lot of other people need artists, and sometimes it gets like if you're wanting to program and then you got to do the art too, you get really stuck on. I want to go back to programming.
Yeah, I see.
Hi, Kelly.
What's up?
Not
Sorry
a
I'm
lot.
late. My alarm went off and I didn't even hear it. My phone's useless.
Let's see. So, Kelly, how did you discover that programming was a thing?
I was born. I was been wanting to program ever since I got my hands on computers at all. We started off with oh, I don't even know the model, but my family had one of those green screen computers, the ones that have just the two 5 1/4 floppy drives, no hard drive, no operating system really. And basically fired up to just a command prompt. And really, just from the first day, I was like, I want to know how to make games because we had like these really crappy terminal DOS type games, and I wanted to make them ever since. And then we got our first, I guess I would say, a real computer, the one that you can compare it to today, was a Zeos, 2 MB of RAM, 80 MB hard drive system with MS-DOS 5 on it or something like that, MS-DOS 4 even, I think. But that's when it kind of kicked off, and that's when my dad brought home Quick Basic 4.5. And I started learning basic programming and fought like crazy to learn like how to access like graphics and how to render pixels on the screen and everything. And my older brother is a software engineer too, and he was always way better than me, so I was always watching him code and do stuff. And I'm like, oh, how'd you do that? You like his programs would play sound and like render awesome sprites and stuff, and I was always trying to learn what he was doing. And then he went off to college, and it was just me on my own. But probably when I was about 12 or so, my brother brought home C++, Borland to C++, and then that's kind of just rest is history, I guess. From there, I just started learning there, and then I went to college, and then now I'm here. So
So, for any of you guys who haven't already answered, like, what games really kind of like did you absolutely like love and were obsessed with and wanted to make games like when you were younger or older or just whenever? Like, what games have really stood out for you guys as just like the best game ever?
Syndicate
GoldenEye.
Plus. GoldenEye is a good one too. For me, it was Syndicate Plus.
Ooh, are you talking about the old DOS Windows game?
Yeah, the DOS game, the one we have the 4 secret agents that walk through town.
That one, it's got some rudimentary graphics, right?
Oh yeah, it has graphics. I mean, it was for DOS, but it was 92, 91, 93 when it came out. Let me look it up real quick.
That's one of my favorite games too.
Yeah, it's so good. I love the thing I love about it is just like the tile set it uses. Like it's like 3D-ish. I mean, obviously it's not real 3D, but just the fact that it's like everything's contained like within a cube. And whatnot. Let me post a screenshot right here
Like
for
this,
anyone
the
who hasn't
isometric
seen it.
style.
Yeah, the isometric style. There's a screenshot of the game. It came out 1993. Okay. So kind of when games were starting to pick up on the DOS system as kind of a more mainstream platform.
Yeah,
But
and it already had like pretty high color depth for that.
exactly. But yeah, that was the game that really solidified it for me. I mean, I had played other games before, but I like what's older than that. Like Doom, Wolfenstein, Jetpack, all those old shareware games you'd get at the supermarket.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it was Payless Drugstore. I don't know what they were doing selling software, but they just had this rack near the cash register, or near the the cashier. It was just a bunch of $5 shareware games, and I'd go like every week and buy a new one. I'm like, what is this game? What is this game?
Yeah, my dad always picked up shareware, but I never really knew where it came from, and I didn't know you could order more, so I only had like episode 1 of Jazz Jackrabbit.
Yeah, I didn't know you could register games. I did not know that. Like, so yeah, I grew up on Doom episode 1, Wolfenstein episode 1, everything episode 1. You never ever buy the rest of it. It's like, yeah.
How about you, Dave? What are your epitome of gaming perfection sort of games?
I know that I'm going to sound very cliche here, but it's true. My ultimate favorite game is Diablo 1. Diablo 1 was, to this day, is probably the best dungeon crawler ever made. And for me, that's the genre that I like. And really, I mean, there's few games that touch the immersion that you can get with Diablo. I personally thought Diablo 3 lacked a lot of features or, funness that Diablo 1 and 2 had, but I still logged over 400 hours in that game, so really Diablo. And I guess, I mean, as cliche as it really is, the early Blizzard titles like Warcraft 2 was awesome. I used to play that and I was never very good. I wasn't day 9 and he's figuring out the strategy in Warcraft 2. I was just oh, you can shoot a boat gun at this guy and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I always played with the map editor a lot, and I'd swap wave files.
Yeah, I've done that too. That's fun.
Or I remember I had Mavis Beacon teaches typing, and they didn't change the wave files, and I would replace them. It's you suck and stuff like that.
That was back when Blizzard actually cared about their games. It wasn't about the money as much. They had passion.
For me, one of the reasons that I want to make games is I see that is not there anymore in the game making community, and I would like to make even just one title that people like as much as I liked Warcraft and Diablo originally.
Mm-hmm. Well, obviously, I've beaten you to that because I have pick and sticks.
Oh, of course.
Torchlight 2 comes pretty close. I like Torchlight games.
I got bored of it after a while.
There's something wrong with you.
I honestly think RPGs need to have built in a skill tree reset. Because I just don't find things...
respecking?
What about Diablo 2, though? You don't like that?
I played a lot of Diablo 2 when I was younger, but these days it feels like I don't want to create another character. I just created this. How am I supposed to know the dynamics of this game before I start it,
But you're going through the same phase as I did. I mean, it's the same way. You look at it and you're like, I don't like this in games anymore. They should change it. But really look at it, it's because we're getting older.
I know.
It's an unfortunate truth because I was this exact same way. I was like, yeah, I'm going to not respect, but re-roll a new character 100 times. And I made 100 new Diablo 2 characters. And then, now that I'm older.
Gameplay. I don't want this.
Yeah, exactly. Now that I'm older, I'm like, I don't want to start another one. Gosh.
Is this really a part of age? Because I look at my Steam account, and it's I have all these games, and it's you've played 15 minutes. You've played 28 minutes. Is that part of getting older?
Yes.
That's how my Steam account is also.
It's very consistent, because not just with time invested, but also cynicism. I'm much more harsh on how I judge games. It doesn't do this, and that's not right. This isn't right. But really, I look back, I'm like, all these other games that I thought were fantastic, I look at them again, and technically they're trash. Not all of them.
But it's also easier to replay through all things.
Yeah.
But compare Terraria and Minecraft to Diablo. It's
right.
One of them is crappy and one is good. It's just objectively,
Yeah.
No, I
It just
really liked
depends.
Diablo 2 when I was younger. Actually, Saints Row here and Deus Ex here, these are played by boyfriend and ex-boyfriend. So those aren't even my times. But I have like
Oh
Elder
man.
Scrolls up there.
Like I have games in my Steam account that I haven't even booted up yet, just because that's how addicted to sales I am. Like, oh look,
Do
it's
you
cheap.
guys do you guys become addicted to one game, or do you always diversify the games you're playing?
I'm a one game
It
person.
depends on the game. Like I can go and play through Fable and Fable 2 in those games pretty well, but like if I try to start other games, it tends to be if it's not just right,
It's not worth it,
loses
right?
me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tend to lock in. Like for probably a year straight, it was nothing but Borderlands. I just played
Did
just
we kick
Borderlands.
those guys out? Did they leave? I'm
No.
sorry about that.
I don't know.
They were
They're
already
just
talking. They've already done stuff, so they were
We're
also having some
departing.
technical difficulties. But yeah, for example, like I guess with Legacy or what is it, Legend of Grimrock, I've been playing that lately, and I was really into it. And now I'm like, I can't figure out this puzzle. I don't want to play anymore.
Oh man, it's sad because it's true.
Eh,
If you
yeah.
would have given me Portal when I was like 14, 16, I would have been like, man, I beat that and it's so short and so useless. What a piece of crap. But now that I'm older, I'm like, that was a fantastic game. Perfect game.
Right, I agree.
I beat To the Moon in 4 hours. That was the best thing ever.
Exactly.
Do you make? I'm sorry. What's your name again? I don't know your name.
Me?
Not you. I know you're Rachel, but what
I'm
about this
Kelly.
guy? Kelly?
I'm the
Okay, I guess I
buzzsaw
could-
in chat or the forums, but yeah, I'm Kelly here.
All right. I'm new to the Google Plus thing, but do you think that we play games less because we make them?
Maybe
That-
because I
I'd
kind of
say-
feel.
Yeah, I'd say there's truth there. Like, it just seems like once you flip sides, you sort of like, I don't want to burn my days just enjoying other people's creations. I want
Yes.
to make something
And I
that
think
other
this
people
is
enjoy. So
especially true with like Minecraft and Pokemon and MMOs and like time wasting games, the ones that try to be really addicting. Usually I just am like, why am I catching Pokemon? I could be making a game.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
if it's like story driven, then I'm a lot more, willing to go through with it because then there's some payoff at the end.
Is it evil to make a game like that?
no.
No, but
Is it evil to make like a World of Warcraft where people spend like 4,000 hours playing your game?
No.
if they enjoy it, but I mean, I don't want to design games that are Skinner boxes and sort of thing.
What's a
Maybe
Skinner
look at-
box?
So if you ever like studied psychology, there's these tests to like kind of get things addicted. Like you first reward a mouse like every time they hit a switch, and then after a while it's like sporadic, and
Okay.
after a while they're like, I gotta hit this box. I need to, get this cheese. Ah!
Do you
Sort of-
guys have
it's sort of
friends
the
like
same
that?
thing.
Because I do. And I'm an adult here. And I have friends that are on Steam 24/7 playing. And when I talk to them, they tell me that they just need, if the game doesn't give them that achievement or whatever, that little bonus that they wanted, they just must play another game. And I just, to me, I don't want to make a game like that. I like Plants vs. Zombies. It's so fun and I played it for probably 20 hours, maybe even 30, but when you're done with it, you're done.
Yeah. Yeah.
I haven't had MMO friends since I was like maybe in junior college. I haven't had many friends that just sit on like World of Warcraft or try out every new MMO.
Well, and I think for like in my case, my living situation, it's like I'm not just getting older, but I also like I got married and like I have a daughter and stuff, and so in addition to getting older, it's just priorities. It's just like I don't have the time to pour into these as much as I used to, and so
Are you trying to be successful?
yeah, I mean,
Like
I have
with your video games, are you wanting to be a professional developer?
well, yes and no. I mean, well, I'm a professional developer. I do it for work, but you mean a game developer?
Yeah, professional game
developer.
developer only. Yeah.
Yes and no. Like, yes, I am working towards that. Like, I would love nothing more than to make a game so successful that I can quit my job and just do game development for the rest of my life. But I'm not jumping in with both feet. I'm not that kind of
Okay.
person like those people that are like, oh yeah, like I took out a mortgage on my house and I took out a loan and I quit my job and I went full time for 8 months and I committed. Like, I'm not that kind of person.
Yeah.
If I go my whole life and I don't ever ship a game, sad, but I
That's
won't be
true.
too disappointed.
Yeah, like
But
I
I
quit
am-
my job,
but I
but
do
I have a
want it.
backup plan.
Yeah.
So you quit your job and you're developing full time, is that right?
I am currently, but I'm going to go back to school, and I'm going to like get training for curriculum and instruction, so I can either work as a software engineer, a teacher, write curriculum, or I can like try to make my own business. So,
But is that just your money alternative, or do you really want to do that stuff instead of game developing?
well, you know the phrase where they say like do what you love and you won't work
Mm-hmm.
a day in your life.
Mm-hmm.
I found that doing programming for other people, I love programming, but I hate doing it for other people. And now like
Yeah, yeah.
companies are going to watch this. Maybe it's just the places in Kansas aren't very amazing, you know. But so I figured maybe I'd go with my second love, which is teaching from all this tutorial stuff. And so that's why I was like, oh, I'll go do that.
You need to arrange for me to be on TV. I've never done this before. So, but second of all, you should really set up some sort of button where people can donate to you because I would have already done that.
If you go to my website, it has
You
a
have it?
button. It says you go to
I guess it's a marketing issue. It's a marketing. I'll do it. I'll
She
actually
likes
do it
free
like
money.
right after this.
She likes free
I'll
money.
go do it, but like I just represent the stupid people of the world. Okay, I'll say it again. I represent the stupid people of the world, and I'm not smart enough to follow a link. So you got to get that. You got to get it in your YouTube videos because I'm guessing your audience is mostly on YouTube. So like and like 'cause you didn't know that they were there and stuff. So I'm sure you could get it. I'm just gonna go to your website right after this and do it. So.
Yeah, see, I have T-shirts. You can buy this cool box computer.
Ooh. Do you ship to Vietnam?
It ships to a lot of places, but shipping overseas tends to be expensive. I know Olifant bought a shirt, and it was like double the price for shipping. Or it was like the price times two, basically, in total. But yeah, so I have those links there. I don't get a lot of donations. I'm working on my Santa game. Screen share. I'm working on my Santa game, and maybe that will be ad supported or something. But it's hard for me to like charge money for things because I'm so used to just doing open source and like here's free stuff.
Take my advice on this one point. Charge money because there are 1,000 guys out there and girls who are not as good as you are, and they look up to you and will pay money for your stuff.
It feels corny going, hey guys, buy my t-shirts. But I guess other people on YouTube do it. I really don't want to put ads on my videos as well. So go buy t-shirts so I don't have ads.
Honestly, I don't. Maybe I don't represent everyone else either, but like you've got to do it. You got to make your money. Because the reason I'm asking these questions and stuff is because I had a different job. I was a translator. I did a bunch of really boring stuff, and I decided to change that. And I didn't put mortgage up my house or anything. I don't have a house. I'm a freewheeling guy. I just rent and stuff like that. But I just decided that hey, I've worked hard for the last X number of years. I'm gonna I have one life. I'm gonna take what I made and just spend that by like eating Twinkies or whatever I have to eat cheaply to make video games. And in the end, we have to make money. And I'm just thinking, well, how long can I go without making money? And that's why I was asking, like you, Rachel, that I know you're at a different level than me. You've already made games. You've entered indie game jams, and I like your art style and all this. And I'm just wondering, is it feasible for people like us to really make money in the long run?
I think it applies to all artists of all, like music and movies and stuff. Some people do that. Some people go their whole lives and don't charge a cent just because they don't have the heart to or don't have the willpower to. I'm not saying Rachel will never charge for anything, but just saying I understand that emotion because I go through it too. I have the same exact problem of I do all this work and I'm like, well, I'm not going to finish it. Well, I'll throw it up and make it open source. Might as well let people have it. It's just sort of an ideal. It's just sort of a, until I really can buckle down and take it super seriously, I'm just going to share it and just form a community and have friends.
Maybe that's better. Maybe I'm seeing it wrong because by doing that, you might make your community bigger than it is already. So.
Well, I'll probably charge money for some games. It's just a matter of taking the time to build the game to sell.
Yeah, I understand that.
I mean, one of the big important things to me is I feel like knowledge should be free, but I'm fine with more or less charging for games because it's like entertainment. And I have some plans and I have some websites to build and some company things, but
Like I've
Yeah.
never played Pick and Sticks, but it's probably better than Terraria. Seriously, like there's a lot of there's a lot of games I consider to be bad that are making money out there, and
Oh
so
yeah. Have you played
yeah.
Dragon Veil?
No, I haven't
I have
yet.
not
It's
heard of
for
that.
it's for iOS. That's gotta be the biggest sham on the planet. But basically, it's a free to play iOS game. You make dragons. I'm sorry, you breed dragons, and all you do is grow food to feed your dragons, get money to buy more dragons, and they
But it's
sell.
boring.
Well, here's the thing. It's one of those games that preys, like Rachel was saying earlier, it preys on the psychology of addiction and wanting to play more. They sell you these gems with real money that speed up
Oh,
the process. Like in
I
order
hate
to,
that.
in order to breed this dragon, it'll take 36 hours. But if you pay for the red magic gems, it'll take 30 seconds. And it'll
did
be
you enjoy
over.
it
I
though, or did you
hate
not?
that so much in mobile games.
I played the game for a while. It's kind of like Plants vs Zombies. It's kind of a game you just kind of play it through to completion and then never play it again. I'm done with it. I played it, but I didn't spend any money on it. But it at the time was the top grossing iOS
Wow.
game, and I was like, "Are you kidding me? People pay money for this trash? Like, come on."
Okay, now tell me, am I weird or backwards in thinking in respecting that? Because like I dumped money into Mafia Wars on Facebook, a lot of money.
Okay, well,
You know?
I have nothing against the free to play model, like and spending on stuff you don't really need or whatever, or optional stuff. But I feel there are right ways to do it and wrong ways to do it. Like for example, I feel League of Legends. Have you ever played League of Legends
I
before?
haven't played it. I should.
I feel that is one that does it the right way, and by right way I mean it. Like if I want to never spend any money on League of Legends, I will never be at a disadvantage compared to other players. We'll still be on the equal playing field. And if I do spend money, it's strictly for. In the case of League of Legends, you buy skins. You buy things that make your hero look different from other people. And that's just a statement to say, I love this game. I love it so much that I want to look different and show off my champion in a little different light. But we still play the same. The rules of the game are the same. And I feel like it's just like it's a way of giving a tip to the developers and to show your support and all this other stuff. But I don't like games that, like again, like in the case of Dragon Veil, that like psychologically build themselves to just coercing and losing money. So
I see.
at the end of the day, you're like, man, why did I spend all that money? Like League of Legends, I don't regret
True.
a single dollar I've spent. I spent quite a bit of money on that game. I bought a lot of skins because I like the characters I play. But in a game like Dragon Veil, I would never forgive myself. I'd be like, I could have just waited 24 hours and got that dragon,
Okay, but what
But
about
I was
this?
impatient and I paid a dollar and got it. But
Compare that system to the modern AAA system. For example, a game I didn't like, Final Fantasy 13. I went out and bought it. I lived in Japan at the time. It was really exciting. But when I got it and I realized it was a really long and boring 3D movie, I felt like I'd wasted $60. And it's hard to spend $60 at a free to play game. So to me, it's like
Yeah.
I'd rather have a free to play that's trying to get me to spend a few bucks here and there.
Oh, and
than
I
a
agree with
AAA
that.
It's more evil to me to advertise yourself as game A and be game B.
Yeah, if you
And
want to talk
force
about the
them-
traditional model, I have plenty of rants about that. Yeah, I totally agree with you that charging up front for some games is they're trash. No good demos, and then they wonder why there's so much piracy. So it's like, oh,
Mm,
Hi, Manny.
okay, I came because I heard people talking about League of Legends, and I was like, hey, let's go.
well, I was just
Yeah,
talking about the business model, but yeah,
Yeah, I mean, okay. About that, there's this game that came out recently called Planet Side 2, I
Mhm.
guess.
I'm going to
And
play that
it's-
today, first time.
Okay. And I saw this review, and they're like, oh my god. It's exactly like that. I mean, you have like to unlock weapons and stuff, but if you don't pay, you're going to like waste like 40 hours. I mean, 40 hours for one thing, and
Yeah.
that's outrageous. Like,
Mhm.
why? And I don't know, Joe. Keep that.
So you're against it?
More or less, yeah.
I just feel like in a free to play game, they should sell things that, again, are done in such a way that where you want to support the game. you want to do it. You want to do it. Not, I have a twitch, I have an addiction, and I need to, itch it with and I feel better.
Or even like maybe it enhances the game, but not
Yeah.
required to pay this to play the
Right.
game. But at the same time, if something's free to play, I do feel kind of like, yay, I can benefit off other people paying for shit.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
like
that's-
MMOs that much, but sometimes you get that itch, and I like start a character, and I walk around the beginning town, and I'm like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, well, see, that's why MMO shouldn't be pay to play, because an MMO is something you're going to enjoy or not. You can't know it until you play for 10 hours.
Right.
What?
Well,
10
or-
hours? 10 hours?
I believe like with
Hours?
Asian models, you can like pay per amount of hours you play rather than the month at
That's
a time.
better, actually.
And I would feel a lot better paying for that if I could do that, because I wouldn't feel like, I paid for a month and I gotta play the game and I hate the game.
Yeah.
See, I think that they should do two models, because with the pay per hour, like the old AOL games they used to have, it's good at first, but when you become addicted to the game or when you really like it, it starts being way more expensive than
Yeah.
it was anyway. So I think they should have like a subscription model, and then a starter, like you can just pay $1 and play for an hour or something,
Mhm.
Yeah. Of course, WoW had that if you got like the starter discs at Best Buy. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, the thing is, like, the barrier is not how much money you pay. The barrier is getting people to pay in the first place. Because
That's probably true.
if a game were like saying, hey, for just $1, we'll let you play for a whole month or whatever, that'd still be hard for me, because I'm like, but what if I don't like it? I don't want to spend $1. I want to spend nothing until I decide, hey, I really like this game, and then start, paying
So
for
here's
it.
my question. I mean, because we do want to make money, because we are the ones that are making the game,
Oh,
we do
yeah.
have to make money. So does it matter if the person that was never going to pay you money doesn't pay you money and doesn't play your
Nope.
game? Does that matter?
There's two reasons that's okay. One is, even if they don't pay you money, they bring you value. They add to the community. Because, how fun would an MMO be? You walk in, there's no one there, So even free players bring value. They're there, they're committed, they like the world, and they add to the
Also-
richness of the environment.
And presence and
Yeah. And
People
two would
talking
be
about it.
advertising,
yeah.
Sure, they don't pay anything, but if they like it, they're going to bring their friends in, and then maybe one of them will pay, So really, people underestimate, freeloaders and how good they really are. Because, again, if you go into an MMO and there's no one playing, well, suddenly you wish people were playing for free,
So
kind of
would you,
regret
as a
your decision.
developer, would you spend 2 years making the game exclusively and then release it free to play, hoping you made money?
Yeah. In today's market, I definitely would. Well, partly because of competition. Because today, if you release a subscription game, you're in trouble. You could do that 5-10 years ago, but today,
Yeah,
it's,
it seems like every new MMO I see these days
Yeah.
are the free-to-play model.
But why
This
are we
is-
talking about MMOs only? I mean, what about indie games? Indie
Oh, you're
games
talking
tend not to be MMOs.
are you talking about non-MMOs?
Any game. Because
Yes,
it's
I
so
mean,
different
it
when you're the
depends.
creator of it, though.
No, it depends on the approach you take on it. But for instance, check out Capcom, for instance. They they make the whole game, and then they make you pay to unlock stuff that is already there.
Yeah,
Well, I
already
think
on the
it's
disc.
DLC.
No, why?
Like-
It's
Okay.
DLC
I'm against
downloadable.
Yeah, I do
I'm
hate
okay
that.
with DLC like Mass Effect, where like you beat the game and you're like, oh man, I want more, and then you get more
Yeah.
storyline.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
And that seems like the best type of DLC.
Yeah, Capcom is the worst. I agree with what he just said.
For instance,
The
that
worst.
again, Asura's Wrath is
I
DLC
see.
that you have
Yeah.
to pay, and I'm
Yeah.
like, seriously? I mean, really?
I totally
What?
agree. I dislike
That's
all of
cheap.
Capcom's
But
DLC.
let me
habits
make the
bad.
point, or else I'm going to forget it.
Okay.
In the old model of games and entertainment based on advertising. So if you're watching Star Trek The Next Generation, a million watching with you, maybe in the millions. And so all they have to do to get a lot of money is show you a few pictures of Coca-Cola in the break or whatever, and they're going to make a lot of money. But these days with the internet, it's so fragmented, even in the gaming community. You have indie game lovers, you have RPG game lovers, you have MMO lovers, you have puzzle games, all sorts of games. So you'll be lucky to release a game and get more than 100,000 people to play it at any time if you're an indie. And
Right.
in that case, how do you make money? You can't make money on advertising. If you can't sell your game, you can't make money on a box. If you're not going to give DLC, you can't make money on that. How are you going to make money? So there has to be a way to make money, and there's a
Yeah.
difference between a money grab, like Capcom's doing, and just saying, hey, I made this, but I do want some money, so why don't you give me a little bit? You know what I mean?
love-
And that's not bad.
No,
I love the old
want to address
shareware
it, but
model
go
of
ahead.
things.
Yeah.
Like just back in the day, you get the first episode free, and, like Walmart
Yeah,
would distribute it or whatever.
completely
You
free.
get episode 2, episode 3, you pay for those. I don't know if you paid for them separately or like as a bundle, but I always really liked that model for some reason. The episodic old
Mhm.
shareware games.
Yeah. In
Shareware.
games?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. And well, referring to your earlier point of how do you make money off a non-MMO, like a single-player game, like say you make an adventure or something, I totally agree that that's the best model. It's like you do need to charge for it because there isn't a good model out there yet for monetizing a single-player game other than advertising, on iOS or whatever. But the best model was shareware when we had that in the 90s, and just like Rachel said, it worked well because the first episode was free and no strings attached. Not this free, but it cuts out at 30 minutes and says, hey, buy my game, whatever. No, it's yours. You keep it. You enjoy it for as long as you want. If episode 1 makes you happy forever, so be it. But if you want more, you want to see the rest, that kind of thing. Episodes 2, 3, and 4 cost money.
And you can leave it in a
See,
how do you
I'm
say it?
for it, but our friend here,
In a
E something,
cliffhanger.
Enmanuel
doesn't like
Enmanuel.
that, and I want to know why you don't like that, Mr. Black.
Hey. Hey.
I think he's referring to your screen, not your skin.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I get it. Wait, how do I put a photograph or something? Anyway,
Just screen share.
excuse me, what was the question?
Okay, you said you were against
Yeah.
his idea of shareware, where you get a little, but then you just have to pay for more, but you don't like that.
No, I'm not against it. Who said it? I'm not against it.
He was against Capcom's model.
Yeah, against the cheap DLC stuff.
Capcom, Capcom did this thing where you bought the game, you paid $60 or $40 for the game, and then you get to the end, and it's not the ending. They said, "Oh, the DLC has the ending." That's
bad.
a scam. Yeah, that's a
pretty
scam.
bad.
Or DLC for like buying characters. That kind of seems kind of dumb. I mean, maybe it's $1 or something, but it
But
seems
don't you
the
think
most
this is
valuable story.
This is all a symptom of big corporation syndrome?
Yeah,
And
they
isn't that
don't
why
get it.
indies can help the industry?
The big corporations, there's some who get it, some who don't. Valve is an example of someone who gets it. They tend to implement these things correctly.
Yeah,
Not always, but they do a pretty good job.
Hey,
But like
hey.
Capcom is the example of a typical corporation that they're not the one that came up with these ideas. They observe somebody else do it first. Like, oh, look what they did. Well, let's just copy it, and then they do it terribly. They don't know why it worked. They don't know what made it successful. They don't know why players liked it. They're just like, oh, let's just copy that, and then they do it, and everyone's like, you're an idiot. You did it wrong. So,
I mean, it's awful. Capcom was so good before. I know.
But yeah, like what Manny was referring to earlier, there's also like fighting games where like you pay money to get
For
DLC,
characters.
and the characters are on your disc already,
Oh, yeah.
but you're paying to get some little code to come down
No.
and expose it, and it's like doesn't
Okay.
work. I'm sorry.
You know what? I agree with DLC. Like, I don't know. For instance, there's a new DLC on Dishonored coming out, I think, and it's like a pack of challenges. I mean, you're done with the game, but you want more. But
Yeah.
they give you like challenges. I don't know, rooms to do stuff, time trials, and whatever. You see it?
Who publishes Resident Evil? Is that Capcom?
Mhm.
Yep, Capcom.
So
They're the ones who made the DS game where you can't delete your save.
that's
You
What?
can't?
You cannot delete your save.
Why? That doesn't make sense.
Because they
Yeah.
wanted to fight used game sales. They didn't like that people would sell them.
Ah,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
another thing.
So
EA,
To me, that is
EA
hilarious.
is in that train too. I mean, like,
Yeah.
Oh
dude,
my
I
God.
bought the CD. I have it in my hand. I have the right to.
It's like because they have the power to do it, they're just doing it. You
something
know?
that made me kind of steamed at them was when I first got my 3DS. I was like, okay, Resident Evil Revelations sounds like a good game or something, but I wasn't familiar enough with the 3DS titles, and I bought Resident Evil bullshit minigame thing.
What,
I have it over there. And I bought it. I was like, this isn't what I wanted.
Mercenaries?
I guess I could look at the 3D graphics, but
Are you talking about
Mercenaries, yes.
That's only a mini game. I mean, every Resident
Yep.
Evil has a mercenaries mini game.
I realized that afterwards, but that's not what I wanted.
You should ask
Same
before.
thing with like Metal Gear Solid. I bought like Snake Eater Plus on accident instead of like the
Make it a
normal.
plus.
Not Snake Eater. Something Ops.
Special ops. That's
Yeah.
Metal Gear 2. It's not 2. It's like Gear Missions, something like that. Yeah, I know. I know I had that game. That's for PS1. Anyway.
Can I change the subject a little bit?
Yes,
Go for it.
sure. Go ahead.
Are you guys into real life development teams and game jams? And then as a follow up, would you ever move somewhere to be in a community of game developers?
Yes,
I
There's
would.
nobody in Kansas.
I would in my heart, but like I said, I have a job and a family and a house, so
Or deal, eh?
wouldn't be feasible.
I'm sorry.
But
I don't know who you are.
What?
Who, me?
Manny?
Either.
Well,
Me?
Manny.
I'm
I'll
sorry.
tell you who I am if you
Buzzsaw.
want.
Yeah?
Me? I'm just a guy. My name's Dave Otley, and
Hi, Dave.
I'm a programmer. If you want to know more, ask.
Okay. And the other.
Dave is
I'm
new
the
to
buzzsaw in the
community.
forums.
You're what? Who?
The
Dave
buzzsaw.
is new in the community. I'm the buzzsaw in the forums. I don't post very often. I've been there for like a while, but I'm so inactive because I'm bad. So,
Yeah.
but anyway,
as
yeah.
far as moving and stuff, I kind of hope to get out of Kansas sooner or later. I kind of feel like it might be a good place to start a business because it's just there's nothing
Utah.
else here.
Utah.
I'm from
has the
Utah.
biggest-
Look at this. Look at this. Check this out.
Oh snap!
Are you
Where-
from
I
Utah?
have-
Yeah, I'm in Utah right now.
What city?
West Jordan.
Dude, I was raised in Syracuse. You know
Oh,
that?
nice. Yeah.
Yeah, by Layton. That's crazy. Cool.
But you're
I
in
have a
Vietnam
brother-
right now.
Yeah, I don't want to really talk a lot about it right now because it's not related. It's not related to gaming at all.
Okay.
But
But if you ever come
I'm-
back, hey, we're starting a dev team.
This is. Are you? Well, okay, let me explain why I asked the question. I do want to hear all your answers, specifically more,
Yep.
especially with Kansas and all this other stuff. But I am moving, and I also have a family, and but I have a choice as to where to go. And I was thinking, why don't I go to LA because there's tons of game developers there. But I wanted to get your guys' feedback on that.
Yeah.
So I would like to move eventually. It kind of also depends on my boyfriend's where he's gonna. I mean, he's also a software engineer, so it's not like it would be hard for him to find something. But let me open the game dev map real quick.
Move to Netherlands.
Netherlands.
Move to the Netherlands.
Ik spreek niet goed Netherlands or whatever. Okay, so this is like this game dev map here, and it shows
seen
kind of
that.
a list of locations with, you know, in Kansas there's one company, exactly one company.
Wow.
So that's kind of why
Awesome.
it seems like it'd be a good place to start a business here.
2 companies. Your company.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm not official, but yeah, you know. I would like to work with a team. I think I have kind of a low trust level with other people until I've actually like seen their work in action, or you know.
I
get
make card
sometimes-
tables. I'm reliable.
You work with the card tables. But sometimes I'll get, you know, messages saying, "We want to do a first-person shooter. You want to join us?" I'm like, I don't know who the crap
When
you
someone's
are.
an amateur, though, like you guys- I'm on GameDev.net. I don't know if you guys are on there. I'm king
I'm
of
on there.
noobs on there or whatever, but
I'm on
I
there,
post a lot
yeah.
these days. But you know, I once did this thing of saying like I want you. I'm recruiting these people. I got tons of applicants. I mean, I got tons of people wanting to work with me, but like 98% of them just like quit after a day. Or we had a
Mhm.
little disagreement and they did some art and I was like, that's awesome, but what about this? Could you try this and stuff? And boom, they quit.
Yep.
And can't you tell though with someone's amateur, because I can now.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
I
the
totally
thing is,
agree.
it's also when people have school and jobs, it's also hard to find reliable help on the internet, and then
Yeah,
there's
that's
not just
true.
a lot in person. There's
And
you know,
that's why you want to move. Well, that's why I want to move. And I just want to know if you guys would actually pull that trigger and where would you go?
I would
probably
go
the West
anywhere.
Coast.
To me, for me, if that were my goal to finally specifically get a game dev team together, it would depend on where where that team is. And ironically, right now, it's right here. I have a coworker that I know in real life. I know him at work, and we do game development now. And so because of that, I wouldn't really move anywhere else because I don't know
Yeah.
who else to work with right now. So, but if like for example, I had been like, teleworking with somebody over the past year or so, I probably would eventually be like, you know what, I'm gonna up and move to Florida because that's where my team is, and let's get some stuff done. But
Yeah, I mean,
Or
So you
I
wouldn't go
have family
blind.
in Washington.
geography
Washington
is not really an issue, I guess, for most people, so long as the team is the right team. I don't know.
yeah,
And
But what
it's-
about uploading assets and stuff? What if you have 3D assets and textures and you have an artist you're working with? You can't really use the internet because we're talking about hundreds of gigabytes a day.
that's true.
So that's why geography is an issue. And the other thing for me is it becomes an issue when you've never met someone, that how easy it is psychologically for them to quit or to take money from you or steal your idea. Anything bad can happen
Yeah,
when
I
you've
know
never
exactly
met
what you're
them.
talking about with GameDev.net. I'm on there too, and you're exactly right. You get somebody to be like, "Yeah, I want to join your project," and once you bring up the project, they're like, "Oh, I'm busy. I'm really busy. I gotta
Yeah.
take
Yeah.
care
I
of."
feel
That's
that way
right.
too sometimes, though, because I'll get into a project and then like someone else is doing the story. I'm like, that's a lame story.
Yeah.
So you're the one that wants to quit because the idea they have is bad.
I'm so jaded as far as story and gameplay. I'm like, that's cliche. Or, it sounds
What if I went so
stupid.
far as to say that? What if I went so far as to say that I don't think story is important at all in gameplay?
I agree with that.
It doesn't have to be, but at the same time, just sometimes I want something besides your cliche fantasy knight thing, or I don't know.
Some
I
of
just,
us want cliche. I
Well,
want
okay.
to
What
make
about this?
cliche 2012.
I'm not saying that certain type of story is bad. What I'm saying is, to me personally, story doesn't matter, and it seems to matter to you. So why don't you be the story writer?
because
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
awful at writing stories. Story's not that important either, though. But the
That's
setting matters. I mean, you usually have a setting unless it's something just like Geometry Wars.
Well, because
So-
here's why I say that. Because I'll give you a compliment first, and the compliment is, I really think your art is good. I think you have good, awesome, unique, and individual art. But what I don't respect is someone that says, I want this game to be this way, but I can't affect that change. And so if you're saying that you want a story to be X way or Y way, but you can't make it that way, should you really be saying that? And I'm saying, if you care about the
Yes.
story, why don't you write it?
Well, that's true, and that's why I work alone most of the time.
Yeah.
It's just like
I was just
it
gonna
has to
say.
be my stuff.
And that is why I'm alone in this endeavor.
But as far as I do need to sort of get over that and just kind of, I would like to work on a project with someone, and I would like to not be the lead of anything and just kind of help. And so that would be, it would have to not be my own baby. I hate it when I have an idea
how
and then
come you
someone
don't wanna
else
be the lead?
commandeers it.
You're not
Well-
the first person to say that to me. Like, I'm just saying this in general. Like, it's just like I have I had another coworker who used to be on our project, but he left the company and he's since moved and whatever stuff. So he's not part of my dev team anymore. But at the time, I thought he'd be excited when I said to him, I was like, tell you what, like, why don't I be the lead on this project? And when it's done and it ships and we're successful, next one you take the lead and you pick the game and I'll support you in that. He literally said to me, he's like, no, how about you stay the lead? And I was like, okay.
Well, I'm
Like,
not adverse
I
to
figured
being
they'd
the
want to be
lead.
in the lead.
But I feel in order to give up that creative control, I would have to not be a major person in this game.
No, see,
If
I don't
someone-
like that thought process
If
because
someone wants to
I-
make Dragon Ball Z RPG 55, I'm just gonna be like, I'm a side programmer.
But you
and
know
I'll do
what?
some art.
Honestly, you're too good to join a team then, like that. You're too good to join a piece of junk team. You know what I mean? You should be on a good team where you really care about it because your skills are going to benefit the game, and I would hope that someone like you would love the game they're making because it'll turn out really good.
Yeah, but I understand her issue. We all have that stubbornness. I have it too. I'm the kind of person that I would love to join a team, but I would do the exact same thing. I'd be like, we're using that engine, or we're doing that story.
You want to make it just like Final Fantasy VI?
Yeah,
I
forget
don't
it.
sound
I'm
like-
out of here.
Yeah.
But
I mean-
but Dave, I will agree with you. It's a weakness. Like if you want to get something done, you need to
You
set
have
it
to
aside.
get over that. Yeah.
But for now, we just kind of live with that vice. We're just kind of like, I'm going to do it the way I want to do it.
I see.
Whatever.
Well, it's good. Thank you for your answers. I didn't hear a lot from Emmanuel, though. Did you have something you wanted to say on that?
Yeah, I normally I'm very passive in teams. I mean, so long as I'm comfortable, I don't care doing X or Y story or something. And I don't know. I wouldn't mind taking the lead on some project, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to say. Yeah, whatever.
It's, I guess for me it's about taking it seriously, and I've worked in a lot of companies before, non-game related, where I get in there and I'm excited about it, and
Mhm.
maybe it's collections or something that you might think is not fun, but I'm really excited about it, and I'm so disappointed when I realize nobody else in the company cares, and I
Yep.
can't affect change in that company. And so that's when I become a leech, and I'm not proud of myself for working there anymore, and I just wish I had another job. And
Uh,
I don't want my game project to ever become like that. You know what I mean? I
yeah.
think
Hmm.
The
it's always
place I
better to
work right
have.
now, the place I work right now is the opposite to that place you described.
Okay.
Everybody is like excited about what they're doing, and everybody's always like trying to. I mean, not always, because but most of the time, I mean, the culture is like, okay, let's get this thing done. Let's do it better. Let's do it faster, stronger, whatever. And yeah, that I mean, working in a place where when like you're the only one excited about what you're doing,
Hmm.
it's a burden. It's
You
hard.
might as
It's
well work
like
alone, right?
Yeah,
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 at that
Dave,
point.
definitely.
Dave, Dave. I would say at my job, it's half and half. Half the team is very excited about even the most minute detail. What we're coding that day, the style of code, one of that kind of stuff. And half are just like, dude, why do you grind at those little details? Just do your job. Please leave me alone. Don't bother looking
Right.
at code.
That's sad. I mean, is there a lot of old people there or what? I don't know.
At my job,
Yeah, cause I think that age is a
yeah,
factor. I guess.
I'd
I
say it's
mean,
about half and half,
very.
and
Hmm.
so, well, but it's still mixed. Like we have one older engineer who is interested, and other older engineers who are not. But yeah, I guess you're right. The older ones do tend to push back and say, "I don't really care about the little details," but
Hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I try to get them fired up. I act excited every day. Like guys, I optimized this code and it runs in way less time. And I'm like, yay!
That's see, like, to bring it back to games, that's the only way I believe a game can survive. Because what is a game? I mean, a game is a product. Everything is. Water's a
Hmm.
product.
Hmm.
Meat is a product. Games are a product, and the product is pure entertainment value. It's pure time for someone. And so the only way it's ever going to be successful is if it's actually entertaining. In most jobs and with most products, you can slip a little bit of crap in there, and no one's going to even know about it. Okay, not literal
Yeah.
crap, hopefully, especially if you're food. Or I'm like, yeah, I make
I
water. I
mean,
put a little bit of
like,
crap in it or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah.
But to be honest, like with games, there's no way you can slip any, and that's what we see with these AAA's. I think what we're seeing is the result of 225 man teams where 70 to 150 of them don't care and they're just taking the paycheck.
Yep. I totally agree, and that's what keeps in this case game projects alive. Is everyone is like wanting to see that project see the light of day. It means the world to them. And while I usually feel that way about my games, when you work alone long enough, you burn out, and you're like, I want to see the light of day, but there's so much work to do, and I
Burnout
just
or
need a
lonely
break.
out?
What's that?
Burnout or lonely out?
I guess it alternates because I eventually come back to it. I eventually pick it back up. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get it done this time, and just. But
That's how I
it,
was
it,
feeling
it
about
is hard
my.
doing it solo. Like I know some solo developers, and I respect them a lot because they
Jonathan
never
Blow?
stop. They never stop. Jonathan Blow, he's a good one. Yeah. I like the guy who makes RPGs for Basilisk Games. I don't know if you've heard of them. They make Echelon Book 1, 2, and 3. Anyway, that's one guy, and he makes a living doing that and making RPGs, and that's fantastic. And I want to get there someday where I just have the discipline to just grind at it till it's done. And I think once I finish one, I'll get there. I'll see what it can become. It's just that when you haven't shipped one yet, it's all this like nether. You're just like, is it real? Is it ever gonna happen?
Well,
Yeah.
I think that it is real, and if you keep thinking that it's not, it won't happen. Because for me, why did I quit programming for 10 years? Okay, this is a great Genesis story. I actually made something in DirectX like 6 back in the day.
Nice.
And it was like a little platformer with but it wasn't a scrolling screen, just a single screen because I was hand coding this in C. And so I had like obstacles that were just like X and Y coordinates, and it would be like a rock, and I had my own so you would just run into it, and then like the boss was like my head. I drew like my head, and it was going around shooting like these bullets at you and stuff like this. And I remember I quit right around Christmas because my family was over, and I was like, okay, I'm in my basement. I can't really see outside. It's totally dark. I'm like the quintessential computer programmer. I'm becoming a nerd. I'm getting a beard, and I'm a kid. You know what I mean?
Nice.
And I was like, it's okay. I just at the time, right? I was a kid, and I was like, I'm gonna choose to focus on my real life because I didn't know what was at the end of this game road, and it was scary to me. But now that I'm older and I know that it's a legitimate job, it's a legitimate way to spend your life, it's a legitimate activity, I don't care anymore like about this idea of a nether. Should I do it? Is it real or whatever? I'm just doing it. And I don't care if I'm alone or if I'm with people. The reason I want to be with people is I feel 2 reasons. It's much more productive, and it's that social outlet that you can miss when you're a programmer.
I mean, the thing is, you should balance, like, how much time you take with one thing and the other thing. Because in the end, maybe you make the best game ever, but if you're there alone, I mean, maybe it's not going to be so cool.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, one of the things I'd wanted to start kind of testing the waters for starting a company was more of a guild thing. My boyfriend compares it to a web ring where it's kind of like everyone develops independently, but then we all have like a specific directory for our community, and we help each other with like testing or art, or we find teammates through our personal like little guild. And then once you have a game, we'll advertise for you if you advertise for us. You know, you say we're part of the guild, and then I'll post it on Musade or whatever, but nobody's announced a game yet besides me.
Well, Dave, I will say this much. You know, obviously I'm not perfect, and I'm trying to get something done. And while I have come and gone on certain individual projects, I've never lost the overall drive. I've never ever sat down and been like, you know, do I really want to do game development? I think I'm done. You know, I've never had that. You know, even if a certain project may sort of fizzle out or burn out or whatever, you know, it's I'm doing something else. You know, so I just need to narrow it down and finish one. You know, to finish. So I feel like I have the drive. But just, I think I've been burned by partners. You know, I have people that really takes a lot of wind out of you when you're both working really hard for a month or so, and then that person drops off, and you feel like, well, nothing I do matters because you know he doesn't care, he's not doing it.
Yeah, he doesn't love me.
Yeah, I'm so sad. Exactly.
It's like that.
I think that's one of those cliches I've been trying to like justify is people saying just finish a project, just do your first game and make it easy, make Tetris. And I believe it, but I also take issue with it because I'm taking way too long on my first project. And when you consider that it's a breakout,
I'm the same way. I'm the same way.
Nice.
But
I'm slow.
but let me justify it. The reason I think it's okay is because I'm reading this. Okay? If you've ever tried to read this book, it's not an easy read. Okay? Here's my next book. Okay? I want to read this. Try reading it. It's an academic book. You can't read something like this, understand the material, and then make a game in 2 weeks. You just can't do it. So I think it's foolish to always tell people that are beginning, just make
book
a game
wars,
like
books,
book
wars, yeah.
You know, like, until we master all of these books we have, what's the point? You know, what's the point of like just
Let me get my
game out there?
Yeah.
I don't want to run to my shelves because I have tons of books.
Yeah, I have tons of books.
Talking
I have
about
a lot of
books,
books
yeah, a friend of mine, like when I first started with this like game development stuff,
Game engine architecture.
yeah, he decided to buy
It's a good
this
book.
and I'm
That's a
like,
good one.
yeah, right. And the first chapter is like calculus 2.
That's awesome.
And you know,
And I'm
that's
like,
the problem with a lot of
yeah.
game books. If I can just plug my style of reading here, I've gone through almost all the books that you guys have shown, and I've gone through Game Coding Complete 4, which I started out liking and now I think is crappy, and I've gone through this and that and this and that, right? And what I found is that in the game book industry, there are many books that are actually Sirens songs. And when I say that, what I mean is they say, we'll teach you game coding in 28 days or something like that. You know?
Oh, yeah. I hate those books.
It's like, okay, we're going to teach you about rendering. Make a DirectX 9 sprite. You're done. It's like, that isn't what rendering is.
Yeah.
What if you have an optimization issue? I mean, what's actually happening? What's going on with the memory here?
Right.
And they just don't teach you that. How do I debug this? What's a stack?
Yeah. There's a book that I saw at Barnes & Noble probably every time I went that was like game programming for teens or whatever.
Yeah, and it's like BB games.
And it teaches, well, doesn't it teach you like Torque Engine or something? It teaches you some engine where you have no idea what's going on.
I see various things. I've seen
just
a
magic.
BB
You just
version.
trust it. It's magic.
Magic.
Yeah.
I want to make a book called like "Don't Believe in Magic."
Yeah. Well, I kid you not. If I could recommend just one book, it's this one.
Huh.
I have a lot of, I think, like software design and engineering
I have
books
that in
more
my
than
wishes.
game programming these days.
I mean, I have lots
They're
of books
better.
I recommend, but this
They're
is
so
a
much
good
better.
baseline one. But yeah, you need to understand all the layers. Like I'm a low-level freak. I have to understand every step. I have to understand every layer that's going on, so
That's
that
a
when something
problem,
does go
you know,
wrong, I can control it.
Now, see, lately I've been feeling like I want to get away from this low-level stuff so I can get more done. Because I mean, if you do look at my page, this is all like demo-esque stuff. They're all very short games. And
But the thing about your games, though, is that they are high level. If you look from someone like me who does C, I've never seen you do a C tutorial. You know, teach people about C.
I just have done C++.
Okay, well, C++, teach C++. It's way deeper than the languages you're using that I can't remember. I don't know if you use Java or whatever, but like I think you use like Allegro and you might SFML, SDL, all that stuff. Good. Yeah. It's actually already high level, but what I'm saying is there's a lower level to that, and the person that I am, I want to go deep into that. And I think there's a huge benefit. That's why I can't be alone. Because if I'm alone by myself, I'm going to spend all day in the registers and the memory, and I won't get a game done. That's why we need to join forces. And you're doing this game designing stuff, and I'm doing this low-level stuff, and now we have a fast and beautiful game. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I had enough of computer architecture.
Dave, you would like a project I'm working on then. I have a project where I'm essentially replacing SDL from scratch.
Now, see, that stuff doesn't appeal to me. I still feel like it's somewhat low level when I have to write an entire engine framework to get a game written.
It is.
I consider it higher level if I'm just like, click, game.
So you're really like a scripter rather than a programmer in that sense.
No, I would not say that. I write code. I'm a programmer. I write C++ professionally, and all my games are mostly in C++. Now, I mean, lately...
But you prefer the scripting side, is what you said.
Lately, it feels like I've been more wanting to do something higher level than just writing an engine, because I just end up doing that over and over. I can never like quite feel perfect. Like, this is crap. I'm gonna start over. But
I think you're that point is the most legit right there.
Lately, I mean, I'm still writing in Java with LibGDX, and I'm still writing a framework for it. But lately I've like been not open sourcing my stuff because I'm like, well, I'm gonna get away with like making this a game and not an engine. And
So would you want someone to finish your engine and you do the high level scripting?
See, like this is a really weird thing with me, because when you say like, "Oh, do you want to be one of the lesser programmers?" I feel emasculated,
no, I didn't say that.
even though
scripter.
I'm a woman.
No, you can't put words in my mouth. I didn't say lesser programmer.
I know.
But in
my biased programmer mind, I feel like scripting is almost like like when I was a web developer, I was not happy. I was like, this is just crappy programming.
I have to take issue with that. I won't let you say that, because I didn't say lesser. I said low level programming versus scripting and engine.
But I think there's
she understands. It's a natural reaction. It's a natural reaction to be like, like you're the scripter. Well, it's not meant as an insult. It's just that.
It's not meant as who am I? Wait, ask this question. Who am I? Emmanuel asked us, who am I? I'm a guy that watches her channel. She's She's the channel head of this.
Right.
She's made games.
It's not personal. That's the thing. Is it's not personal
Yeah.
at all. It's just
Nothing
it's
is
just
personal.
the words.
Yeah.
It's just the words
And
that come.
the
And
I'm
words
sorry,
are
I
feeling.
didn't mean to make it sound like you were putting words in my. I was putting words in your mouth or and whatnot, but like just as someone who like majored in computer science, there's this like inherent bias in my system of like being too high level is a bad
So how
thing.
can we get anything done then? How can we get something
I
done?
know, that's the thing. Like I feel dirty like using Unity, but it's like but it's easy. You know?
I'm going down the same path. I haven't used GameMaker, I haven't used Unity, but I'm thinking as soon as I finish my book stack, I'm going to make my breakout game in GameMaker and stuff like that. I'm doing the same thing, but if we're doing the same thing, it's not productive. And
Yeah.
since there's two of us and we're both, or four of us here, and that we're all interested in the same thing, which is making independent games, wouldn't it be better for someone to focus on one thing and someone else to focus on the other?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. And I'm saying, like, suppose we were all of us four in a team. If you wanted to be the low-level programmer, I would say, fine, I'm going to go learn JavaScript. But if you said, as you did, I like programming the game, not the engine, I would say, I'm
No.
going to write an engine.
For a long time, I've always considered myself to be a shitty designer, so I've always focused on the back end stuff, and like, that's where I like felt more comfortable professionally. It's like I don't want to do this gooey shit. I want to go do the back end.
And, well, that's so funny because that
It's
brings
just
me back to what I
lately-
said, though.
Lately, I'm so exhausted with the programming, especially because I quit my job. I've just been pretty burnt out, and so I've been like struggling, crawling to like get back into it lately.
So wouldn't that mean for someone like you, it's even more important to find someone who's going to do that low-level drudgery you don't want? Because you quit your job, you don't have an unlimited amount of time before you start starting your business. So
Yeah.
if you had someone who was
You
like
can always go back to your mother's.
And
a
I've been
low-level
looking
freak,
a lot into like things that already exist, like tiled. I'm using that for my game rather than writing a map editor because it's there. There's a tiled already,
see, and I think everything you're saying is the smartest that anyone on this cast has said about game programming because it shows in your work. You've produced games. You have legitimate stuff that's like, wow, I can play this. I can show the internet. I have a channel and stuff like that. And what I'm saying is I hope as a programmer to go from my genesis to being able to work with someone like you who understands the fact that you don't need C++ all the time, but that there could be times that you do. And me and you, or us four, or whoever, whenever you're in a team, can split up the work. And I was just trying to ask you, like, how you would like.
Yeah.
I perceived that you were a higher level programmer, and because you do these Java tutorials and stuff like that. So I perceived that maybe a complement to what you're doing would be lower level. But I guess the question is, what would complement you?
Like I said, with other people's games, I kind of would like to take a not lead role. I feel like I would learn more as well because a lot of the time when you work alone, you're just kind of working off your knowledge base unless you are studying something extra. But I don't know. As far as working on a team with something,
So you're not into teams right now. That's what you're saying.
I would like to work on a team. I just have a
The
hard time
lone
finding teammates.
wanderer, Rachel Morris.
I think
Yeah.
I think what the topic we're discussing right now is maybe the most important one for beginning programmers, which that beginning title could stretch for years, as we all know, probably, right? But like, I think that's the reason why there's 100 programmers for everyone that has a published game.
It's true.
Because despite all this stuff we say about iOS sucks and this game sucks, and it's true, 90% of the games suck, but they're games.
They're shipped.
And
They're done.
They're shipped and they're done. And
They made
like,
more money than we've ever made total.
Yeah.
And there's like there comes a
Yeah.
point where I'm not talking about money here, but when you do something all the time and it's your life, you want to show something for it, and
Right.
I think there's only like basically working with other people is like comes down to being the only option at certain times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because if you guys watch like Total Biscuit or Total Halibut or whatever on YouTube, and there
Yeah,
a
I've seen
while
that.
ago he did this like WTF is about this game that this single guy made, and it was graphically really impressive. And all I can remember is that like your character was sort of wobbly like this, and there was a lot of these 2D physics that were true to life. Probably he was using Box 2D or whatever. And I remember TV saying it's impressive for one guy, but then he goes on and on about how, well, maybe it's not really impressive because the controls aren't tight. Well, he probably could have had better controls if he had a second guy doing controls.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't need to be in your basement alone all the time. Just get someone to do controls and your game will be better. And that's how I feel is like, I'm going to spend all my time game programming. That's what I do. I spend a significant amount of my time watching your channel, you know what I mean? And learning from it. And like, so I don't want to sit by myself and do something if someone else can help me or if I can help them, you know?
Well, I think that's the hard part though, because like I think we all completely agree with what you just said. It's just that where are you going to find that person to get you to tighten up controls? You know, what's the motivation for that other person to want to join your game? You know, that they need to like it or be interested in the project. And personally, I would love that. I would kill for that if someone could take projects I'm working on and say, hey, tell you what, I'll pick up this end of it. You worry about that end. You know, I'd kill for that, but it's just hard to find people dedicated and to stick with it. And like nothing brings me more joy. Like this doesn't sound kind of weird, but nothing makes me more giddy than going to the repository and seeing commits by other people. Like seriously, you just look at it, you're like, oh, what did they change? Oh, sweet, they patched that up. Oh my gosh, they added this feature. Like, oh my gosh. But that's also why I got so depressed. Like the exact same thing in reverse is you see those commits, you get addicted to them. You're like, oh my gosh, people are contributing, and then they go away in months and months and months, and you're just like, I'm alone again, and this thing will never get done. And then you're like, whatever.
So it's a motivation issue.
Well, yeah, but like I said, it's getting that team. Like, because if a team sticks true to it, I would stick true to it.
It's coming up with an idea that everybody loves.
Someone has to stick to it when no one else is sticking to it.
Well, I do. I just haven't finished. But no, seriously, I still commit. I still code, and I have projects I'm working on that I want to see at the end. I'll show you.
Okay.
Let me post a link. There's a link in the chat if you get that chat. That's one big one I'm working on.
Hey, Kelly Brown.
Is it a YouTube channel?
It's a
It's
playlist.
a playlist. So it's all of the videos in the playlist that you see.
I can screen share.
I don't want to watch it now because I'm worried about my internet connection.
That's fine. You can watch it another time or bookmark it. But the link I sent is a playlist of my respective video updates of a virtual card table I'm working on.
Okay, cool.
And then,
well, I'll just throw it out there. I know this is not personal. This is going on the internet, and everyone. I don't know how many people are watching this right now. Can you tell me, Rachel?
6 people.
6. Okay, whatever. Who cares?
It's a raging popular podcast.
But it will also be on YouTube after the hangout's over.
Okay. Does that mean there's
people watching after?
In potential.
It means once the hangout closes, YouTube's going to process it, and it's going to be on my YouTube channel.
Well, is there 4 of us talking and 2 others listening, or 6 others listening?
6 people viewing on YouTube and 4 of us here.
Okay. So hello, like number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I'm just like you. You can join us or whatever. Anyway,
Get in on the project.
I can't believe I'm on YouTube. I just want to thank you for inviting me because just being on YouTube has been one of my dreams forever. I don't care if there's 6 people watching or like 600, but
YouTube channels are free.
It's more interesting when it's live, but other people, will watch it after, hopefully.
I'm gonna throw it out there that I'll help your car project. If you need help for something, I'll do it because what I'm doing right now is basically an educational thing. So why don't I help your project? I mean, I want to be on a good project, whether I'm the lead or not.
Yeah,
sure.
And I have more projects beyond this too that I would kill for help on, and it's something we can definitely talk about. Sure.
And I'm also really interested in just the organization and design process of making software. I liked how my last company did Scrum, Agile Scrum, and just getting things organized and written down and kind of concrete, give tasks to people.
My buddy and I would make the most progress when we used GitHub issues. When we had issues, things moved because you'd look at your issue, focus on your issue, close it. But when you don't have issues, it's kind of a dice roll. You go that night and I'll code this, and you might get something done. Another night's I'm gonna work on this and patch that, and I didn't really do
why
anything.
don't you use Pivotal Tracker or some kind of board to put the stories, and then I don't know. I mean,
well, for me, I make my own issues because I don't have a team and I don't have GitHub, but I don't even know how to use that. I just make my own. I use Subversion, but anyway, that's beside the point. And my issues are written on my piece of paper, and it's fix the rendering bleed issue, add changeable controls, and one bullet point could be 2 weeks,
Mhm.
for me. So I never have a problem with generating issues. That's not a problem for me.
It's just a general organizational thing. People who are organized get more done, not just in programming, just in life. Like, being able to break tasks down and stuff. And
Yeah.
it's a skill I admittedly lack. Like, just in life,
Like
only
discipline.
when I got a smartphone did I start using a calendar. Before then, I didn't schedule anything. I just
Are
remembered
you a
stuff.
calendar guy? I'm not. I don't never know what day it is. Sorry, that was bad grammar, but I don't know what day it is, and I don't know what time it is most of the time. So like I couldn't tell you if it's Wednesday.
I started less than a year ago. Like I said, my parents gave me a planner when I graduated high school. And I did use it for like a week and then got rid of it because I didn't remember to use it. I'm kind of an ad hoc person. The reason the phone works so
Yeah.
well is, one, it integrates with Google Calendar, so it's everywhere, and two, I can put reminders. So if I agree to go to someone's reception, I'll get a beeper an hour before. That's like, hey, get dressed for the
Yeah.
reception, and then I'm like, oh, that's right, there's a reception tonight. And I go,
I guess it shows you have a real life because I don't have anything worth putting in my calendar. Program again, write
Yeah.
more code again.
Go to
do
work
that.
again. Go to work again. Go to work.
I guess
I've
yeah,
been
you have a
using
job.
Google
I don't have a
Calendar.
job right now, so it's like, what do
Yeah,
I
find
don't
stuff
need
to
a
do.
calendar.
Find stuff to. That's true, but
I have this stuff on my calendar so I don't forget.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and it's worthwhile. Do not stop
Well,
it.
that's how much I failed. I put this on my calendar and I still missed the alarm. And I was late. 'Cause I'm bad at life. So I resorted to programming instead.
Your Fallout or your
Yeah.
second choice or whatever.
Yeah.
Fallback plan.
Oh boy. Well, I'm in a fortunate position because my wife is an artist. She does digital art, so
That is awesome.
she's agreed that if I ever get to a functioning engine, like with my card table, she hasn't done anything because I'm building it for an existing card game, so there's no art required. But going forward for games, she's like, once you have an engine that does something, I will gladly make art for it. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna make you draw stuff.
What do you guys think about cross-platform development?
It's a rule, not an
It's-
exception.
It's
for me.
hard to not. It's hard for me to develop anything if it's not cross-platform. Honestly,
Me too.
I can't.
Is
do
it worth it
C#
though? Is it worth making it for Linux when it's like a few people use it only?
It's,
That's all. That's my main thing.
Are you familiar with the Humble Indie Bundle?
Yeah. Hmm.
The first one that came out. If you look at population, like what people bought, it was about 50 or 60% Windows, and then like 20% Mac, and then 20% Linux.
Wow,
But
that's
if you-
high.
But here's the best part. You look at the dollars, not the people. Linux spent twice as much as
Oh,
Mac
wow.
people. So
Yeah.
the Linux portion was twice as profitable as the Mac. That's how hungry Linux gamers are for good quality content.
I'm dual booting into Windows 7 and Debian now, which Debian's my first distro. Kind of stupid, I guess, but whatever. And I actually had to. This might sound easy to other people, but I had to, compile the NVIDIA drivers because they're not in the
Yeah, they're not there by
package.
default.
That's
yeah.
why I don't use Debian.
Yeah.
That's why I use the easy distros.
Ubuntu?
I use Ubuntu and Linux Mint. Right now I'm on Linux Mint.
I use Linux Mint, yeah.
But it
Mint
just
14.
comes and it works.
I used to
Well, I was like, since I'm a developer, I should probably learn. And I'm studying about operating systems, so I'm like, well, there's no better way to do it than Debian and Linux and blah blah blah. And it's still a true story, but I mean, my question is, am I wasting my time? Because I spent like a week now, like fiddling with Linux, trying to figure out how to, use all the source editing and like how you compile everything from scratch. And like, for me, building my game can be an issue, or building someone else's game could take me a long time. But with Linux, it's like, that's all you do. You compile stuff.
I think it really depends on your taste, because with Ubuntu, there's like a software center, and you can just get shit from that. My boyfriend really likes Debian, because, hardcore programmers like Debian, and,
I'll just say this. It's not wasted education. Like, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it all the time. I don't use Debian anymore because I thought it was too hard. But there are companies that have build engineers. That is their whole job, is to keep the build pipeline clean and straightforward. And I didn't even know that, but I talked to a friend just recently, and he said that. He's like, "Oh yeah, where I work, we have build engineers." I'm like, "Wow, that's like a whole field unto itself."
I think two
Jeez.
things about that. One, if the team is amazing and I believed in the product, I would gladly be the build engineer. But the second point is that forces the team to be big enough to where I think you lose the human identity in the project.
Right. Right.
I don't want that. I want the team to be no more than 10 people at a maximum. Max.
That's what
No,
Max
you
Schaefer.
could. I mean, you
Max
could have
Schaefer of
different
Runic
teams.
Games. He wants to shrink. He has like 30
Yes.
people working for Runic Games, and he's like, I want to grow to 25. That's his joke he always
Nice.
throws out there. But yeah, smaller is better, definitely. Tight
I just
knit.
want to throw it out there because I
Yeah.
guess if there is anything as a plug when 6 people are watching, my plug is that I am a programmer. I am a beginner in time as far as how long I've been physically like programming and stuff like that. But when it comes to skills, I think I'm pretty high level, and most of my time is devoted to education. And I am out there. I'm looking for my project, which means your project, whatever. Like when we meet, whoever you are. If my project is going to be your project, I'm just looking for that. And so until then, in a sense, I'm wasting my time because I don't know. Like I'm spending my time doing what I think is right, but it's about what we think is right because I plan on working
Right.
in a team.
Now,
So
are you
if-
guys interested at all in educational software or
I was going to ask
educational
that
games?
question.
What?
I was also going to
Educational
ask
games
that.
or just educational software?
Both. Mainly games, but sometimes games are supposed to be games and they're not. They're just software.
Let me answer last on this.
I was
Like,
say
Kingdom
like
Master.
Would you guys work for an educational game company in Kansas?
That's a very directed question. Is
no,
this
only in
personal?
Canada.
Does someone you
Canada,
know
I'd
have
work
this
for it.
problem?
Wait, you're Canadian?
I'll just say this: like, if I ever became a multi-billionaire and I could like quit work and like just do whatever I wanted, I have said to myself I would like to dedicate my humanitarian work to making educational software, not games specifically, but software, because I think the educational system needs a lot of help.
But it could also be some sort of profitable company.
Oh yeah, no, it could.
I agree with you.
I'm just saying I would kickstart it with my
I
own
agree with you.
riches and do whatever I want, for a while. But that aside, because as wonderful as being a billionaire is, I don't think it's going to happen next week or the month after. I have mixed feelings on educational games. I'm not opposed to the idea, but I do. I don't know. Let me rephrase it with a question. Is Civilization an educational game?
No.
Yes.
Oh, I
It
got a
could
yes
be.
and a no right after, and then it could be. So
All right, I'll go
we're
first.
exactly tied.
I'll go
If you're
first.
wanting to teach more of problem-solving skills and stuff like that, it's not the most explicit educational thing.
Yeah, that's the
Okay.
thing. I mean, what do you mean by education? Like a game that will teach you something, or a game that
Yeah.
like explicitly math master? You're going
In
to
my
learn
mind,
how
it
to
could be
do
both.
something
I would like to
over.
make some historically accurate games and be like, hey, this is what ancient Greece was like back in the day. And then maybe it's
Let-
not really like super educational, but it's set in a realistic time. Yeah.
Go ahead, Dave.
2 words. Carmen Sandiego.
I
good
never
game.
played the game.
So I guess
I
Rachel,
saw the
to
show.
address your question is,
Once.
would an educational game, in order to qualify, is it a game that schools would need to accept, or does it just need to be educational on its own, but not necessarily
That's
in
a good
schools?
point. That's a good point.
Because
I'm not
you
really
learn
strict.
from a lot of games.
I admire a lot of games that I played growing up, even if it were stuff like movie-making games and
Yeah, like-
Storybook Weaver Deluxe.
Because again, I'm not giving a hard answer, but just my tentative answer is, if it's the kind of games that schools want to let in, I generally am not interested in those kind.
Yeah.
But I'm not opposed to games that teach or get people critically thinking and stuff. Again, I'm not totally opposed to the idea of games that are allowed in schools. It's just that the ones that are allowed in schools tend to be boring.
Let me ask you a question,
like
Rachel.
Oregon Trail.
Why did you
Oregon
why
Trail
did
was
you
awesome.
ask that question, Rachel?
Yeah.
Because I grew up on PC. I didn't have a game console, and I was homeschooled, and so I played a lot of educational games. And
Bible games? Bible games?
no, my
That's
family's
not
secular.
educational.
Okay.
My family's secular, so no Bible games. I do buy them these days because they're funny.
I just asked about that, not to get religious or anything like that, but it's funny because a lot of the games that are educational are represented by religious education. So
But so like
Like Bible,
MECC, or I don't know how you pronounce it, MEC, Math Blaster, different things. And I had a lot of educational games that I really loved as a kid. And so I guess there's just
Word
sort of
munchers.
this like, yeah, like this
You know what's weird?
nostalgic
Because
like.
I was in public
Master.
school. I was in public school in the U.S. and Utah, and I almost never played educational games except for the GEMS. Mavis Beacon teaches typing, classic game. If you can call it that, I think you can. And Carmen Sandiego, probably the best educational game I've ever played. So, but rarely would I play an educational game, and the reason was they're usually crappy. But now let me throw out what my original idea was when I started, like programming again after 10 years. I know Japanese. I'm fluent in Japanese. That was my job. Japanese translator, Japanese to English. And it's such a good career, okay, compared to others. Such a good career. It's just amazing. It has been great to me. And I thought, I'm an educator. I taught English in Japan for just a year, and then I went back to school. And I've thought, well, I want to make a game to actually teach people Japanese, because I learned Japanese on the internet. I mean, I'm an internet baby, really. Like, not baby, but like my adult life has been dominated by the internet, and it's not a bad thing. I've grown so much. So I thought, well, there's got to be a way to create a game that's actually fun, that people will play, and at the end of their 300 or 500 hours of playing my game, they can speak another language.
Yeah, and I've been thinking about ways to do that too, even if it's maybe not as encompassing, but I thought like maybe Animal Crossing in another language, or really cliche RPG in another language, so you can kind of assume that this is a sword and this is the name and stuff like that. But
okay, well, I don't want to get into the details of my idea because they're not significant. I think when you're making educational software, educational fun software, let's just call it that, games, whatever, the number one goal has to be education, but the fact of the matter is no one's going to play it if it's not fun.
Yeah.
So the first job you have, no matter what you write in games, software even, like any software even, is to make it somewhat fun or easy to use, because if it's not, people are just not going to waste their time. But once you have them, it's like you can make that evil box that you talked about and just like manipulate them, or you could teach them something. And that's where I think educational software is lacking, is that they forget that if someone's motivated enough to play a really boring piece of software to learn something, they're all motivated enough to read a book about it, and they might as well do that. It's the people who aren't going to do it unless it's fun. And that's why, to make an educational game, you have to make a game that's as fun as Diablo, as fun as Warcraft or Mafia Wars or whatever you like. It's as fun as that, and then to throw it on top, you get to learn a language, or you get to learn math. And that's why Carmen Sandiego was fun. No one is going to become a geography major by playing Carmen Sandiego, but it's the first time I ever heard the words like Peking, which is now Beijing, and many, like Kathmandu, which I recently went to Kathmandu. It's a great city, but I never would have done that if it wasn't for Carmen Sandiego.
So it's kind of a tangential learning thing then. You like learn, it's like, oh, this thing exists, I want to learn more about it.
It has to be tangential, because with learning as the primary goal, you have this really small intellectual audience, and they're not interested in playing games. They're interested in learning, and the ability for you to pack enough intellectual content into a game is limited by the medium. Books are better because it's pure words, and you can get things down into this compact sentence. E equals MC squared is very difficult to understand. You can spend your life on it, but it's just a sentence or less than that. It's a formula. So with a game, you can't pack it that tightly. It's more of a loose learning, and it's, to put it bluntly, someone has to be willing to waste their time to play your game, but it's not 100% wasted if they're learning something. Does that make sense? It can't be the people that are hardcore learners, just like there's hardcore RPG, MMO gamers, there's hardcore learners, and I'm probably in that category, because I read thousands of pages, maybe a week, I don't know, a lot. And people like me would probably like try to pick up an educational game and set it down because it's not educational enough. As funny as that sounds. But if you're trying to mix mix two things that don't really mix, like oil and water. Education isn't necessarily fun or supposed to be, and games aren't necessarily educational. So you got to say, okay, my focus is education, but I know that gamers are going to be playing this because that's the medium. So how do I educate gamers?
Well, that's why I brought up the game
problem
Civilization is a game that, again, while not explicitly educational, not there to teach you something per se, because it was fairly historically accurate, I learned a ton of stuff you would have never convinced me to learn otherwise about how certain civilizations came to be, who took over who built which wonders of the world and stuff like that. So like I'm definitely a huge advocate for I guess indirectly educational games.
Do you think that you think it's tangential?
You can have like accurate games, like for instance with historical facts that are real, or
That's a
you can
good point.
explain
Accurate.
some facts that are real and stuff like that, and people will like investigate, like, oh, is that true? Is that real? Is that how it happens?
Okay,
And people
but
will be interested in that something.
It's a question of what
But,
you
like,
value
just
because
learn. I mean, just teach. It's like you're going to give them some concept and then try to confirm they have learned that concept and stuff.
Okay,
How do
if
you
you
make
consider
that fun?
yourself a teacher,
No, I don't
you consider yourself a teacher, you're always going to be teaching people at all times. So like, no one really cares about you anyway. Like, no one really cares what you're doing or whatever. They care about what they're doing. So just listen to me. Just hear me out here. You're a teacher, and you have to decide what you're teaching. So do you
Right.
want to be a teacher teaching things that you learn in Civilization, or do you want to be a teacher teaching things you learn in Carmen Sandiego, or do you want to be a teacher teaching physics? It really doesn't matter. If what you want to do is get people to learn the rudiments of ancient history, and it's just really basic, and you know that otherwise they're not going to get it, and then it's valuable. But there's a spectrum. I mean, calculus makers, it's not a game, but like it could be. And that would be a high-level education, low-level fun game. But then Civilization is, I would say, only tangentially educational in the sense that the guy that made Civilization never thought that it was going to be educational. That was not his intention.
Right.
Well, for
But I would
instance,
say
I
Carmen
play-
Sandiego was meant to be educational.
yeah, but for instance, the last thing I learned from okay, I think Rachel is.
Sorry, I just wanted to point out that this hangout's been going on for about 2 hours now, and we've been talking for an hour and a half. So I was thinking of stopping it pretty soon, but I would love for all of you guys to come back. Usually we do this like the first Sunday of the month, but if this is a better time, we can also do evenings on Saturdays.
Evenings are
I'm-
best.
I'm
For me,
minus
this is the
6
time that I
GMT.
like.
Okay, so this is a good time for you?
Yeah.
So, I'm trying
For
to
me
get
too.
these wing book or a game development book. But
I love
anyway,
books.
Dave, I'm so glad that you joined because you're very, outgoing, so you're fun to listen to. And you have a lot of good points, and you're just, like, very experienced in different areas. So I really like having you around. Kelly, same for you. And Manny. I apologize for the slow start for those who are watching. I love Sev and Oliphant, but maybe they're a little bit shy.
The chips.
But anyway, if you guys would like to give any sort of closing thoughts or things that you would like to talk about next time or in the future, go ahead and just throw out ideas for topics and things that interest you in general.
You want some?
That's too broad. I like toast and pizza,
Well,
design. No programming allowed. Only
or like how to
game
attract game artists and stuff like that, even though I have no idea.
design. That's a different topic, but
Are
my
you talking
idea is,
about like
yeah.
aesthetics or like gameplay and
Mechanics.
mechanics?
all of that. As long as it's not programming, it's okay. It could be art, but just the design of the
Yeah.
game. If your game's about art, then that's design.
You want some?
Yeah.
Because don't you
Yeah,
talk
I
about
can roll
programming
with
on your
that,
channel a lot?
Talk about, for example, like, you can bring up a specific game and an example of why it's too hard or why it's too easy or how you fix a mechanic to make it more intuitive or whatever. Yeah, no code. I can work with that.
Yeah.
Any other things you'd like to see discussed?
I have to be there the next time you guys talk about Git.
Yeah.
It gets fantastic.
This
And-
discussion, I guess, I'm not thinking about it like what will be interesting and stuff like that. Because for me, the interesting thing is how do we get better? I mean, I am not watching your channel to be entertained. Just to be honest with you, like I don't usually like watch all of your Google Hangouts from beginning to end because it can get boring to me when it's like not specifically about what I want to do at that particular time. But I think it's people will watch more if we are discussing how we become better programmers, better game designers, how we are becoming better. So for me, that's interesting. What we're actually doing in life.
Okay. So one of the shows I've been following that's a Google Hangout show is Day 9 does this metadating game, or playing. They play games based around relationships and kind of analyze the story aspects and how everything is. And so it's interesting for me to watch, and they're kind of funny too, but interesting to watch how they're analyzing these relationship games from like Passage to the Dove, the Pigeon dating sim. Would that be interesting for you guys to like break apart a game and discuss game design from that kind of point of view?
Yeah, sure.
It could be.
Depends on the game.
Could be. I'm not a. Here's the thing. I'm not a Let's player. In general, Slim Kirby. I'm plugging Slim Kirby right now. His stuff is fun, and I don't know why. It's like he's just playing a game. It's just fun. But like, I am not one of those guys that sits and watch Let's plays all the time. I'm more interested in development. I'd rather develop a game, but I mean, if there's a way to tie that in to like becoming a better developer, then yeah. I mean,
Well, this might be like playing part of a game to get a feel for it, and then saying like, okay, so hey, for To the Moon, how do you think about the narrative style of this? There's not a lot of gameplay. What do you think about the kind of like really simple blah 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 blah?
I think that's a good thing for your audience. I might not be good at it though because I'm intellectual. I'm not when I play games unless it's like my favorite game. I can be bored, and so that might bore me. But like for others that are more interested in the play of games and even the design of games, there's really good designers because I'm not one of them. Probably would be interested in that. So if you could find someone to do it with you who's a good designer, it might be better. I'm not really, but.
Well, okay. I mean, I think it would be cool.
What about you? Let's see here. What about you, Kelly?
I'm ambivalent. I think it'd work. I'm willing to try whatever. So
yeah.
I'm also down for it. To be honest with you, I'm down for it. Playing a game is fun.
Okay. Well, I guess that's all to really talk about tonight. I'm sorry I kind of like cut off. We've been having a lot of discussion over different topics, and so I think it was entertaining and interesting and informative, so I hope other people also enjoy it. And hopefully we can keep this going and have hangouts in the future on relevant topics from being a better game developer, software design, stuff like that, books, and all of that. So hopefully you guys will join me next month when we do this around the same time. Maybe first Saturday or second Saturday of the month. But as far as that goes, thank you guys for joining. Dave, Enmanuel, Kelly, and thank you, Rachel, for joining us.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Let's see. So I'm going to go ahead and end the broadcast. Thanks,